a huge welcome back to the series all about your first trip to Disneyland Paris and how to have the absolute best possible time. This video is actually going to be about doing Disneyland Paris on a budget. It can be a really expensive holiday, and unfortunately Disneyland Paris isn't affordable for everyone, but if I can help you cut some costs, have some savings, do a budget trip in order to get yourself there, then I am absolutely going to do so. So my first big tip about doing Disneyland Paris on a budget is book as early as you possibly can. Prices tend to be cheaper the earlier that you book, and they tend to get more expensive as they get booked up closer to the time. So if you are thinking about Disneyland Paris, plan it as far in advance as you possibly can, just to get the absolute best prices. So with the Disneyland Paris website, you can book your package on there, and you will probably notice that prices will fluctuate almost daily, weekly. It really depends on their availability. So if you buy as soon as your package is released, chances are that'll be the absolute cheapest it is going to be. And with that, you can actually pay a deposit and then pay in installments. So it actually gives you time to spread out the cost. So that is probably number one in my how to do a budget trip, is just to book it as early as you can. Also consider budget accommodation. And I know you want to go to Disneyland Paris and you want to stay on site because the hotels look amazing and you get all the perks, but if it gets you to Disneyland Paris and you have to stay on site, consider it. Like, the on-site hotels are amazing, don't get me wrong, they are fantastic, but the off-site hotels can be so incredibly cheap. I have seen hotels as cheap as £35 a night, whereas the Disney hotels are obviously substantially more expensive. So if you are prepared to stay off-site, it is a fantastic option and it can save you a lot of money. Me, as an annual pass holder, I quite often will stay off-site now because obviously there's no point in me booking a hotel and tickets package because I don't need the tickets. So I do quite often stay off-site. I've stayed at some fantastic hotels. I did actually talk about the off-site hotels in my hotels video. So again, if you go back in this playlist a couple of videos, you will see I discuss quite a lot of the off-site hotels. So if you do want a bit more information about that, go back a couple of videos, go and give that video a watch. I discuss all the on-site hotels and the off-site hotels. So it can just be a bit of an insight for you to staying off-site and keeping those costs down. So there's lots of fantastic hotels around. So there's different areas around Disneyland Paris where the hotels are based, and the further away you go from Disneyland Paris, the cheaper the hotels tend to be. So if you are prepared for a little bit of a commute into the parks, there is a train, so it's called the RER-A, that'll take you directly to Disneyland Paris. The train station is here, the parks are here, like they are walking distance, like 5-10 minutes and you're in Disneyland Park from the train station. So it's definitely a really good way to keep costs down, is to actually stay off-site. And then you can actually buy your tickets separately. At the moment, Disneyland Paris have got flexible ticket prices, so that means based on their availability, the day of the week, however they feel, the ticket prices will vary. So again, book them as early as you possibly can to get the best price, and watch the prices. If you see the prices come down and you've got a refundable ticket, cancel the refundable ticket, get your money back and rebook them. That is an option. It is a bit of a faff, don't get me wrong, but it is an option if you are trying to keep costs down as much as you can. So definitely consider staying off-site and get your tickets as early as you possibly can. Another big tip for trying to do Disneyland Paris on a budget is to take your own snacks and drinks in. You are allowed to do this. This is no problem to take your own snacks and drinks in. Probably don't take, like 3-course meals in with you, but snacks and drinks are absolutely fine. I quite often do it myself. I just resent paying €5 for a bottle of Coke. So quite often I will take my own drinks with me and I literally just have it in my bag and then it's easily accessible. But in order to keep food costs and drink costs down, you can take them in with you. Disney is expensive. The food at Disneyland Paris is really, really expensive. I'm not going to lie. For a family of 4, you're looking probably at about €60 to feed you all for one meal. It's a lot of money. So taking your own snacks and drinks in can keep the cost down. And if you want to take like sandwiches and stuff like that, there's plenty of supermarkets in the area. You can go to Val d'Europe, which has a big, massive Auchan, I'm not sure how to say it, but it basically has a massive supermarket. Go and get some, pre-packed sandwiches, some crisps, some drinks, and just take them into the parks with you. And that's lunch sorted. You spent €20 as opposed to 60. So there is always definitely ways to keep your food costs down because it is expensive inside the parks. And snacks as well, stuff like that. You're talking, €5 to €10 per snack. So, if you're all having a muffin and a drink for breakfast, you're talking €40-50. Whereas if you bring in like a muffin with you, it might cost you €2 in the shops. You're talking €10 as opposed to 40. So this is definitely an option. Disneyland Paris have no problem with you bringing in snacks and drinks. So if you're trying to keep costs down, I would really recommend it. Like I say, I do it myself. I frequent Disneyland Paris. I go multiple times a year, but I still try and keep costs down as much as I possibly can. So definitely consider this if you are trying to keep your costs down. Another tip from me is don't pay to watch the shows at Disneyland Paris. This really frustrates me because Disneyland Paris word it like you have to pay to watch the shows. They are completely free to watch. So the way Disneyland Paris word it is that you have to secure your seat. No, you don't. You do not have to secure your seat. They basically offer a paid system where you can secure your seat. So basically you have a bit less of a queue when you arrive and you have a guaranteed seat. But it is really, really expensive. You can walk up to any of the Disneyland Paris shows, queue, and you will be sat. The only time you won't be able to get a seat is if they shut the queue and they turn you away. They will not let you queue if they can't fit you in the theatre. Please don't pay for shows, please. Unless you really want a front row viewing, you don't want to queue for half an hour. If you absolutely have to see that show, by all means. But if you're keeping costs down, do not fall for this. So many people get caught out and they pay silly money to see the shows when they can just walk in for free. It's the same thing with the parade and the fireworks. They will make it sound like you have to reserve a spot. You do not. You can stand anywhere along the parade route, apart from the reserved section, obviously, and you will have a fantastic view of the parade. Same for the fireworks. You can stand anywhere from the front of the castle to the back of Main Street and you will be able to see the fireworks. Yes, albeit you may not be the best view in the world. The reserve viewing does have its perks, but it is not necessary. It's something Disneyland Paris offer as an addition to your trip and not something that is, if you want to see our shows, you have to pay. No, please don't do it. Just don't. Personally, I have paid for the fireworks reserve viewing and I would recommend it, but you do not have to in any way, shape or form. You can rock up to Main Street half an hour before and you'll still get a fantastic view. It's that easy. Just don't pay for it. Just don't do it. Like, especially if you're on a budget, like you don't want to be paying 50, 60 euros for your family of four to go and watch a show that you could walk in for free. It's so frustrating to me because so many people don't get it and Disneyland Paris are naughty in the way that they word it, making it sound like you have to pay. You don't. Please don't pay for any of these things. The parade and the fireworks are a little bit different because you might want a front row seat, don't get me wrong, but you do not have to pay for them. It is an optional paid service for reserved viewing. It's not mandatory. So yeah, definitely a good one to keep the cost down is do not fall for the jargon on the Disneyland Paris app sometimes because you don't have to pay for shows. I think that's pretty much all I have to say about doing Disneyland Paris on a budget. It can be a really expensive holiday, but there are ways to keep the costs down. And if it means, you cut some costs, but you can go to Disneyland Paris, it is so worth it. It can be as cheap or as expensive as you want it to be. If you want to stay, in a 2-star off-site hotel, you want to take your own snacks and drinks in, you don't want to pay for any of the extras in the parks, you can do so. But alternatively, if you want to stay at the 5-star Disneyland Hotel, you want to have front row for every show, every parade, every bit of fireworks, you want to do all of the things and buy all of the snacks, you can do that too. But Disneyland Paris on a budget is doable. Please don't be put off by the prices. You can do it however you want to do it. If you don't want to book a package directly through Disney, you don't have to. You can book a hotel and tickets separately to keep the costs down, and it is a really good way of doing it because the off-site hotels can be really, really cheap. Depending on when you go, they can be as little as £35 a night. They can maybe be like £100 a night, but it usually does for, under £150 a night, which is a really good deal in my opinion. But yes, plenty of ways to keep the costs down. Again, as per usual, if you have any questions, let me know in the comments below or reach out to me on Instagram at Stace Does Travel, and I will be happy to chat with you further and make sure that you get to Disneyland Paris and have the absolute best time. So yes, I hope you guys have enjoyed this video and found it informative, and yeah, I just hope that you go to Disneyland Paris and have the absolute best time ever. Yay! And with that, I am going to love you and leave you, and I will catch you in the next one.